Why am I here? What's my life's purpose? Why should I care about anything if everything is just going to end? These are the kinds of questions that haunted one of the greatest writers of all time, Leo Tolstoy. Despite having achieved almost everything, fame, wealth, a loving family, and success, Tolstoy found himself struggling with these very thoughts. He was often considered the Cormac McCarthy of his time, as his two most famous novels, War and Peace and Anna Karenina, continue to be some of the most celebrated works in literature. On top of that, he owned a large farm, had a beautiful family, and was married to a loving wife. But despite all of this, something shifted for Tolstoy when he reached the age of 50. Suddenly, nihilistic thoughts hit him hard, and all of his previously found happiness seemed to vanish. A man who had once lived life to its fullest, doing whatever made him feel good, now found himself questioning everything. Why did this happen? How did he get through it? In this video, we'll discuss Tolstoy's personal struggle and how he faced these deep existential questions to find an answer. From a young age, Leo Tolstoy was deeply skeptical of Christianity. He lost both of his parents early in life, which left him feeling abandoned and disillusioned. The church, in particular, gave him a negative impression. Tolstoy once said, "So that now, as formerly religious doctrine, accepted on trust and supported by external pressure, gradually falls away under the influence of knowledge and experience of life, which conflicts with it." His early life, filled with tragedy and doubt, set the stage for his later struggles with faith. For almost 50 years, Tolstoy lived a life seemingly free of major worries. He was successful, rich, and surrounded by family. But then, something changed. He hit an intellectual crisis, a deep and overwhelming existential crisis, where sleep became his only escape. The weight of his thoughts was so intense that he found solace in sleep because it provided temporary relief from the constant barrage of questions about his purpose and existence. In his essay A Confession, Tolstoy expressed how, during this time, he had to trick himself into not taking his own life, as nihilism consumed him. As his thoughts spiraled, he became like an emotional toddler, constantly asking himself, why? Why life? Why existence? Why death? He believed there was something fundamentally wrong with his soul. In Anna Karenina, the character Levin mirrors this struggle. Levin, much like Tolstoy, was caught in an endless loop of why questions, fixated on the meaning of life and death. Tolstoy wrote, "If not now, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then in 30 years. Does it make any difference?" This quote captures the hopelessness that defined his thinking at that time. These thoughts led Tolstoy to contemplate suicide. But instead of ending his life, he decided to embark on a different journey, a search for meaning, a search for ultimate peace. He turned to philosophy, science, and various ideologies to find answers. One of the turning points in his journey was a parable he reflected on deeply, a tale he included in A Confession. The parable was about a man fleeing from a wild beast who eventually stumbled upon an abandoned well. Desperate to escape the beast, the man jumped into the well, only to find a dragon waiting at the bottom with its jaws wide open. In his panic, he grabbed onto a branch growing out of the well's wall, hoping to avoid falling into the dragon's grasp. Amid this situation, the man noticed drops of honey on the leaves of the branch he was holding. Despite the danger, he reached out and tasted the honey, momentarily distracted from the life-threatening predicament he was in. Tolstoy saw this parable as a mirror of his own life. He recognized that, like the man in the well, he was caught between two extremes, the wild beast of existential dread above him and the dragon of death waiting below. Yet, in the midst of this turmoil, he found moments of sweetness, moments that kept him alive and searching. Rather than give in to the dragon's jaws, Tolstoy chose to seek meaning, exploring almost every ideology. First, he turned to philosophy and science. Tolstoy read the works of multiple philosophers, including Solomon, Socrates, and Buddha, but he did not find complete answers in any of them. He felt that these teachings ultimately led to one simple conclusion. Happy is he who has not been born. Death is better than life, and one must free oneself from life. On the other hand, Tolstoy also explored science, which he believed offered knowledge, but found little solace there. He viewed Darwinism as embodying nihilism, suggesting that humans are nothing but an accidental creation in the universe. According to biology, we are merely lumps of energy, valuable only when we are healthy and destined for death once our cells grow old. To Tolstoy, science offered no comfort regarding life's purpose or how one could live a happy life free from the existential thoughts that haunted him. Disillusioned with both philosophy and science, Tolstoy turned to studying and observing the people around him. After much reflection, he concluded that, for people in his circle, there were 4 ways out of the terrible position in which we are all placed: accepting the absurdity of life. Tolstoy found commonality between Albert Camus' philosophy and his own perspective on existence, especially in their shared view of absurdism. He observed that some people cope with the absurdity of life simply by ignoring it. They don't overthink it. Life is absurd, so what? They just live. Camus also argued that instead of succumbing to despair or nihilism in the face of absurdity, we should adopt an attitude of defiance and resilience. The key is to keep a mindset of so what. So what if you can't find the answer? Just go have a coffee with your wife and forget about it. However, Tolstoy didn't think this could be a lasting solution. How can you stay ignorant when you have a fully functioning mind constantly pushing you to think about your existence? Eventually, the weight of nihilism overtakes, and absurdism no longer works. Epicureanism. Tolstoy noticed that some people turn to a life of indulgence, filling it with pleasures to distract themselves from the suffering and uncertainty of existence. They pursued material wealth, relationships, and entertainment to escape the fear of death and the meaninglessness of life. However, Tolstoy criticized this approach for being ultimately unsatisfying. While indulgence in pleasure may offer temporary relief, it's fleeting and fails to address the deeper questions of meaning. Suicide. Tolstoy observed that some people, overwhelmed by the absurdity of existence, saw no way out and ended their lives. This, however, was not a path Tolstoy could accept. And yes, please never ever do that. If you're in an existential crisis, keep moving forward. Don't let it consume you. Instead, search with an open mind. The answers may not be immediate, but they will come in time. Existential limbo. This is where individuals, after recognizing the inherent meaninglessness and suffering of life, feel trapped. They acknowledge the futility of existence, but lack the strength or energy to act on it. They simply exist, unable to move forward, stuck in passive resignation. Tolstoy saw this as the weakest form of living because it offers no resolution or progress. After studying various ideologies, Tolstoy experienced a profound revelation. Observing the faith of the poor marked a turning point. Despite their hardships, they maintained an unwavering belief in God, which gave them resilience. Having achieved wealth and intellectual success, Tolstoy realized that material possessions and reason alone could not bring peace. Faith in the infinite, he concluded, was the key to transcending the limits of human suffering. In the end, embracing faith transformed Tolstoy's life. He dedicated himself to helping the poor, living humbly, and seeking peace in spirituality. He passed away on November 20th, 1910, at the age of 82, having finally found the meaning he had spent his life searching for.